Hello, everyone. Welcome back to East Coast Haunts. I'm MK.
And I'm Sam. And we're back with another episode. It's been a while.
It sure has.
Part of the reason it's been a while, that was like the worst segue. I'm so sorry. But MK was like, do you want to give your life update? I do have a fun little life update. I am engaged now. I am betrothed. So very excited about that. There will be, I think it's pretty obvious that Mary Kate will be a bridesmaid. So we'll have to somehow incorporate wherever we go for the bachelorette party. We'll have to find, we'll be doing a ghost tour. Like, there will be some spooky shenanigans going on.
I am so unbelievably excited. First of all, for the wedding, and second of all, for the spooky bachelorette party.
And just a quick side note, the night before, so Ray and I, my fiance, went to Cape May for the weekend that we got engaged, and that night, the night before we got engaged, we went on a haunted trolley tour of Cape May. It was so fun. But we were cracking up because every single story, the only, like, you know how, like, when you go on a ghost tour, like, there's, like, lots of people backing the stories up. Every single story was only backed up by one man. I think his name was Craig or something. And he's, like, an author, and his shtick is, he writes about, he's pretty popular. He writes about, like, Cape May ghosts and stuff. Ooh, did you just see that? My door? Sorry.
I did.
That was my dog, though.
Oh.
But that was freaky. Craig was like, I heard you were talking shit. But anyway, so we got like almost like through the tour, and Ray was like, wait a minute, the only person that like encountered any of these ghosts was Craig. So like, how do we know if he's telling the truth? And I just thought it was really funny.
It's just like the like museum lady from the last episode that now I can't remember her name.
It was like, source, trust me.
Big trust.
So anyway, that's my update. But speaking of, let's see, how shall we segue this? Speaking of firsthand accounts of unexplained things, what are we talking about today, and / where?
Okay, I am so excited for this episode. I've been waiting to do this episode.
I know.
We are covering Mothman, who is the mysterious cryptid of West Virginia. So
fun. We haven't done a cryptid in a while. Like, since
I was just about to say, I love cryptids, and maybe this is like a little hint towards our next Patreon series.
It might just be.
But listen, I'm a sucker for a good cryptid, and Mothman is one of the coolest. So,
yeah, he's
Shall
iconic.
I take you through the legend of Mothman?
Yes, absolutely. I actually tried. So obviously I'm not going to be talking about the legend itself. I actually didn't research the original story of when people saw it, so it would be kept a surprise. So I'm very interested.
Okay, I'm so excited to share this with you. I also have to say that I don't know if you remember this, but a while back, like circulating on the internet, there was a like meme that
I know what this is gonna be, because I found it today and I was like, what the hell is this?
I actually don't. I think we're talking about two separate memes, but one of them, the one that I'm talking about, was the one where someone rewrote the lyrics to YMCA. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No. What is it?
I'm gonna post it. I'll link it. It is legitimately like my sense of humor to a T. Someone rewrote the lyrics to YMCA, but it's all about Mothman, and it's like, Mothman, pick that kid off the ground. I said, Mothman. There's no need to feel down. It is so funny.
Can that be like the intro and outro music of this episode? Mothman.
I might have to. I'm gonna have to like
That's
put a
really
clip of
funny.
it. The lyrics are so funny.
Well, I can't wait to
Right.
tell you the meme that I found because it's completely different from that, but also ridiculous.
Okay. Good. Do you want to tell me about it now, or do you want to say later?
Basically, the meme, I'll tell you now. All it is like there's like people have like a T-shirt and like a bumper sticker, and it says "Mothman stole my catalytic converter" or whatever. And that's like the joke. And so people like will like wear like when they go to West Virginia, they'll like get a T-shirt and it'll be like "Mothman stole my catalytic converter."
Why is that so funny?
I know, it's so
Why?
funny.
If they had a shirt like that for like the Jersey Devil, you already
Jersey Devil
know, or a
stole-
bumper sticker, you
the
know
Jersey
that
Devil stole my. Maybe we can make one. The Jersey Devil stole my. I don't know. I'll think of something for later.
fun. Now, giggles aside, let's get into the legend of Mothman.
Yes,
Our
let's.
story starts in 1966 on November 15th with two couples who were driving past the old TNT area in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And the TNT plant was a former ammunition production plant from World War II.
Okay.
So not like a dynamite factory, but it may as well have been.
I was like, whoa.
The two couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Mallet, reported seeing a large black creature with wings, about 7 feet tall, crouched by the side of the road, and when it looked at them, it had glowing red eyes.
Wait, okay, so we're both couples together? When
Yes, they're in the same. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay, continue. I have no other comments besides that for now.
What would you do?
I would. I honestly, I want to say that I would like think it was something else, but I actually would probably freak out.
I'd lose my mind. I'd do exactly what they did, and they panicked and floored the car to 100 miles an hour. And just remember, this is a back road, while the creature easily pursued them. So
it followed them.
Yeah, it literally did not even break, like, I don't want to say break a sweat, but it didn't, like, have to exert a ton of effort.
Wow.
Exactly. And it only followed them to the city limits, but both couples continued to drive to the police office and report it. So,
that's probably smart.
Following the breaking of this story, 5 men come forward with the claim that they were digging a grave just an hour away from Point Pleasant and had an eerily similar experience. So,
okay,
is this the power of suggestion, or was Mothman seen twice this same night?
I mean, what are the... I don't know. I mean, what had they heard about... I don't know. Continue. This is weird. This is creepy.
So this spurred a series of similar sightings. Some claimed to have seen the creature, and others claimed that it was a large heron with red eyes. There were over 100 sightings between November 1966 and December 1967. So in a year, over 100 sightings. So that's like one every 3 days.
I thought that only those two couples had seen it, so I'm actually shocked that many people saw it.
Over 100 different people came forward. Isn't that nuts?
Wow. Yeah.
So one of those sightings was a general contractor in the area named Newell Partridge, who confronted police about the creature. He had seen it in the field behind his house, and when he shone a flashlight on it, its eyes shined back like bicycle reflectors, so he says. He claimed that Mothman was the reason for the buzzing static feedback on his television, and that Mothman must have taken his German Shepherd, who had never returned that night after chasing after the creature. And this was the same night as the couple's sighting.
Okay, so do we know if he knew about the couple's sighting before he went to the police?
He did not, which is the weird part. Because it was reported
very weird.
Weird,
so
right?
he's also implying that Mothman ate his dog, which is interesting.
Or just took his dog. Yeah.
Took
don't
off
know.
with him.
I don't know what moths eat, but I don't think it's dogs. So the night after this sighting, these two sightings, Marcella Bennett was driving to a friend's house when she got out of her car and she was startled by Mothman and she dropped her baby before grabbing him, rushing inside, and calling the police.
Grabbing the baby, not grabbing Mothman.
No, grabbing
Correct.
the baby that she had just dropped after having been startled by Mothman.
I hope the baby was okay.
From what I read, the baby was fine.
Mothman has bodies now.
Mothman 2, German Shepherd, and baby 0.
0. I know. Kind of freaky. Even if he's not trying to be mean, he's scaring everyone to death or eating them.
I know. Or eating them. All right. So people were trying to make sense of these sightings, and some people believe that Mothman was an alien because these sightings coincided with some supposed UFO sightings around Point Pleasant at the time. So remember I said that the two sightings were on November 15th, 1966?
Yes.
On November 2nd, 1966, a man named Woodrow Derenberger was driving around Mineral Wells. I know, it's kind of a funny one.
Woodrow Burger.
Woodrow Derenberger. He sounds like the kind of person to have an encounter with a UFO.
He got probed by those aliens.
Definitely. Listen to the story. So He was driving around Mineral Wells, West Virginia, when he was driven off the road by a contraption that he first thought was a car, but on closer inspection was closer shaped to a chimney. So
what?
I know. So it had like a really thick base, and then it had like a sort of plume going upwards.
Okay.
Which I'm like, how did you
look for a car?
Exactly. I guess it was dark out. Who knows?
What's going on in West Virginia? I don't know.
Some weird stuff. So after being run off the road by this chimney, a figure exited and said he came in peace, but his mouth was fixed in a smile, and so it was only then that Woodrow realized that this man had spoke to him telepathically.
Oh.
I know, creepy, right?
But it was a man.
He said it looked like a man, but like was like a little bit off. Uncanny valley.
Slightly mothy.
Slightly mothy. And so he introduced himself as Indrid Cold and told Woodrow to tell the authorities about this encounter before taking off. And the weird part is that this was corroborated by several witnesses. So many people came forward and said, I did see Woodrow talking to someone, and they were pulled over by the side of the road, like the vehicle looked really weird, blah, 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 blah.
Okay. Well, it's interesting that the being told them to go to the police. Like, what would that solve?
If you think of it as like kind of a Men in Black situation, I guess it makes sense because they wanted like a record of the encounter so that they can be like, oh, we made contact with the human race. That was what made sense in my mind.
Okay.
Some people, speaking of the Men in Black, some people who have claimed to have seen Mothman also claim that they were interrogated by the Men in Black. Which is creepy.
Wait. Say that again?
Some people who have claimed to have seen Mothman also claimed that they were interrogated about the encounter by the Men in Black.
And the Men in Black are like sort of like FBI Area 52 people, right?
The Men in Black are a conspiracy theory that the movie series with Will Smith was based around.
Okay, so I see.
There's a theory that like there is an organization that exists to keep the existence of aliens under wraps, and they're known as the Men in Black.
Okay, I see. Interesting.
So, I know, it is kind of interesting. Maybe we'll have to do like a Patreon episode because that's kind of a cool, like, spooky conspiracy.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was an actual conspiracy. I just thought it was like the Will Smith movie.
No, it's like actually a conspiracy. There's a great episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved on it. It's very, very in
Okay,
depth
I'm
and
gonna.
good.
I thought I had seen all of the BuzzFeed Unsolved, but I guess I'll have to go back
I
into
think
the
it's a
arsenal.
really old one. I think. But I know there is one.
Okay, very interesting.
So some people believe that he's an alien, but others believe that he's a mutated monster. And the story behind the, the story behind this theory goes that a moth flew into the old TNT plant and became covered in the toxic chemicals.
Enough.
No, that caused it to mutate into a humanoid cryptid.
That reminds me of when they're like, the frogs are turning gay or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds. It gives me that vibe. But it's okay. I mean, I guess both are equally far fetched if you are not sure how you feel about aliens. So
True.
maybe it is a mutated moth, but that would just be like a lot.
So you're not gonna like the next theory if you don't like the mutated moth one, because I think that one makes a little bit more sense in my mind.
Oh no.
So some believe that Mothman is the result of a curse that's over 2 centuries old.
Go on.
So there was a Native American chief named Chief, I'm going to really try to pronounce this correctly, Ketuga, which is translated in English to cornstalk. And he just wanted peace with the settlers. And shockingly, in 1777, he was taken captive during peace negotiations.
Classic.
And as retaliation, the Native American tribe killed 2 colonists, and the colonists killed the chief in return. So, just a whole lot of
everyone
violence.
died, yeah. Okay.
Yes. And as the chief was dying, he cursed the land with his dying breath.
Okay.
Later on in history, there was a monument that was erected to the colony that settled this area, and lightning struck the monument not once but twice and ended up completely destroying it.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely that's a sign.
I mean, I definitely can get behind the fact that there was a curse laid upon this land and that monument needed to go. I don't think Mothman was a result of this curse.
Yeah, that would be like a really specific curse. And also, it's done so much for their like tourism, right? Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like the main reason that people visit Point Pleasant, West Virginia. So it's kind of like the opposite of a curse if you think about it. But to me, that's more realistic. I find that more realistic than the theory of him flying into like the nuclear waste or like that's ridiculous.
Yes, I actually kind of agree with you on that one. As I was reading it, I changed my mind. And Sam and I were having a little conversation off mic, but I had to reassure her that Mothman is in fact, or is believed by some to be, a good guy. Okay? Some believe that he is an omen of things to come and appears as a warning sign.
Of bad things to come?
Yes, but it's like he appears as a warning. So if you see Mothman, get out while you still can.
Okay.
So remember how I said that there were over 100 sightings between I think it was November of 66, and then also it went all the way through December of 67.
Right.
So one of the last recorded sightings of Mothman was right before the collapse of the Silver Bridge on December 15th, 1967. Several people claimed to have seen Mothman right before the bridge collapsed, and 46 people died.
Oh, that's really scary and sad.
I'm not even done yet, though. On September 10th of 1978, the collapse of the Freiburg mine in Germany, people claimed right before the mine collapsed that a man in a trench coat turned out to have wings. And so there was a man in a trench coat. He went up to the people working in the mine, showed them his wings, which caused them to scream and run from the mine, and then the mine collapsed.
It sounds like he was like it was set up that he was like a flasher, right? Like he's in a trench coat and he's going up and opening his trench coat.
Let me show you my wings.
But okay, wow. Okay, so he's just trying to warn people of disasters, but I guess he doesn't have a mouth, so he can't tell them. Or maybe he does.
So
I don't
he can't
know.
talk.
Moths have mouths. Moths probably have those
They have like the
long,
little
the feelers.
what do you call it? Yeah, those are like up here, like
the long like straw almost, right?
I think
that's what butterflies
have.
Butterflies
have.
Are they not related?
I have no idea. Why don't you look that up while I tell you about the other tragedies that he has been seen before?
That sounds great. Okay, let's do it.
And I just want to put that out there that I am not making light of these tragedies, but people had reported Mothman sightings prior to them. Whether or not they're true, I don't know. But Mothman was reported as being seen before Chernobyl, 9/11, the collapse of the I-35 bridge, the outbreak of swine flu, and Fukushima.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is
wow, this is like serious. So, and it's interesting because he's seen literally all over the world, not just in West Virginia.
Yes. No, he went global.
Mothman went global. Also, okay, to answer your question, according to Moth Fun Facts on nc.gov, some moths never eat anything as adults because they don't have mouths. They must live on the energy they stored as caterpillars. And they also hear sound through their wings.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
No mouth whatsoever.
I'm blown away. Okay. I guess maybe that's why he couldn't speak through the mouth. Them?
Wow.
That's kind of crazy.
Huh. Yeah. Interesting that he's an omen. I guess a bad omen, technically, even if he's not a bad guy.
I like to think of that as he's warning the people to leave.
Yeah. Okay, well, keep your eyes peeled for...
I've explained to you the many different theories about what Mothman possibly is. Is he an omen? Is he an alien? The result of a curse? Who knows, really? But biologist Robert L. Smith has other ideas. He theorized that it could have been a sandhill crane that was knocked out of its migration path, as sandhill cranes are not native to West Virginia. Now, I was kind of a little bit skeptical too, but
cranes aren't that big, are they?
This crane has a 7-foot wingspan and is almost as tall as a typical man. And the thing that kind of sold it for me is the fact that it has red markings around its eyes, and the feathers can kind of cause it to look reflective.
Oh. Yeah, that's it. This might be the most likely, although I don't know what it was doing like in Chernobyl, but
I don't know either, but that could account for maybe the 100 sightings in West Virginia over the course of a year. Poor little guy got knocked out of his. Yeah, I know. But
and everyone's like screaming and running away from him, and it makes me sad.
I know, this poor little crane. He didn't do anything.
Poor little 6-foot crane.
But whether or not you believe that it is a crane or a radioactive moth, just the legend of Mothman is something that's become integral to West Virginia tourism, and they really do celebrate it quite well. They have a Mothman festival the second or third weekend in September every year, and there are Mothman impersonators, sweet treats shaped like Mothman, vendors with Mothman stole my catalytic converter shirts. And if you're brave enough, they do offer tours of the TNT plant. And
Oh, they
maybe if you're lucky,
do.
exciting.
Okay, very interesting. I also saw that they had you were saying people dress up as Mothman, and I did like look at some pictures, and they range from like casual like cosplay to like full on suits, like full on Mothman suits. They're kind of impressive.
Oh, yeah. And then they have a giant statue of Mothman in the center of town. Like this, like they really embraced the Mothman legend, which I think is pretty cool.
I think it's like you said, it's like probably like the best thing for their economy. Would you go to Mothman Festival with me?
I was just about to ask you if you'd like to go. So
it actually looks really fun. It
does look
super fun. It's apparently it's super crowded though. I was reading the website, and apparently it's like insanely crowded. It's like similar to like Salem in October.
All right, maybe we go in the off season.
Yeah, let's go in the off season. That's a good, maybe this summer. Okay. Maybe for Christmas.
All right. So if I'm not mistaken, I think you have some first-hand accounts.
I do have a couple of first-hand accounts. I have a couple of like just random little tidbits though before I get to my first-hand accounts. While I was looking at stuff about Mothman, of course I went to Reddit, and I kept seeing things about because I looked up Mothman sightings, but apparently Mothman is in Grand Theft Auto at some point. Like there's like some sort of hack where you can like there's some corner of I don't really know how Grand Theft Auto exactly goes, but there's some sort of area where Mothman is, and so I was looking at all these Mothman sightings, and I was like, "Wow, there are so many!" Like, and then I realized it was from the video game. So,
oh my god, what?
Do you see him?
Yes.
So I guess it looks okay. Yeah, Mothman. Like, and people like go and like look for him, and it's like it's a whole subculture for the gamers. So I just thought that was funny. I had to include that. He's a pop culture icon. I also wanted to point out that we're in Mothman season because November 15th to December 15th of, I think, was it 1966 was when he was seen. So like, I'm sure people do go a lot in September because that's when the fest is, but maybe that's a good time to go because maybe he'll like make another, I don't know, maybe every year during that time he makes an appearance. I don't know. There also is there is a Mothman app which I did download, and it just has, let's see, there's like a live moth cam. Although I tried to go into the live stream and it said it wasn't playing, so I don't really know what's going on with that right now. I don't know if Mothman like turned it off. There's supposed to be, and it's of the statue, so it's just like live streaming the statue at all times. But it says it's not available when you try to go do it. And it has one comment, and the comment just says Mothman. So there's also a Mothman escape room. It's not out yet, but apparently it's being built. And I assume it's being built in I assume it's in West Virginia. Yeah, because it's gonna be right above the Mothman Museum. Check that out. So
can we go?
Yeah, I know that would be. Wouldn't that be so fun? So
I would love to do that.
They're already planning. The 2024 dates are already out, so you would think that they would have the escape room ready by September 2024, but we'll see. And then they also just have like the Mothman story, eyewitnesses, and all that stuff on the app. So I don't know. I was just feeling silly, so I downloaded it, and it was actually kind of interesting.
Wow.
I also thought it was interesting while I was researching. Apparently, there's a Mothman in Chicago. Have you heard of this?
I have not. Is it the same Mothman or a different Mothman? The Chicago Mothman?
We don't know if it's the same one. If I had to guess, I feel as if maybe there are many Mothmen. Do you agree?
There's got to be multiple TNT plants around the world, and there's a lot of moths. So,
and there's a lot of nuclear waste for them to all
All
fall.
out.
Like if like yeah, and don't moths travel in packs like you would think? I'm just kidding. I don't know if they do. Um, so yeah, so there's like a whole documentary on Apple TV which I don't have, so I could not watch it. But
I have.
apparently in Chicago, a bunch of people were seeing a winged creature that sort of looked like similar to the Mothman sightings of West Virginia. And so these people, let me see what they're paranormal investigators. They have, I'm trying to find what the name of their group is. Okay, I
Hey,
don't have the
wait.
name of their.
Did you see that there's an article released in April of this year that Mothman was spotted at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport?
Is that the one that has like really weird, like the Chicago airport has like all those like conspiracy theories around, or am I thinking of something else?
I think that's the Denver airport.
Okay. Okay, that's
I'm not
really creepy. All right, let's get on to some of the first person sightings, alleged first person sightings. A lot of them were from, the late 60s, and I was trying to find ones that were from like the past couple of years. And I was able to find two that were pretty interesting. One is from the R Mothman subreddit by a
okay.
user named Godzillasaurus, which sounds fairly legitimate to me. So I figured it would be a good one to share. So this person said that their grandmother cited the Mothman, but this was back when like everyone was seeing them about like 50 or 60 years ago. So apparently so this is the firsthand story from the grandma. Like the grandma told the grandson or the granddaughter, and then they wrote it down. So this is from the grandma's POV. She said, "I have always been skeptical of things to do with the paranormal, so when I heard of the Mothman sightings, I simply thought it was just a hoax. Besides, I wasn't scared of pretty much anything because my dad was a U.S. Marine and I always carried a firearm on me for self-defense."
Ooh,
Which I'm like, wow.
Hop off.
Anyway, about 2 weeks after the first sighting, I was driving home late from work through the TNT area. It was around 11:40 at this point, and it was pitch black for the most part, so I was having trouble seeing through the darkness with my dim headlights. As I got about a mile and a half into the TNT area, I suddenly saw a large black mass in front of me, and I had to slam on my brakes in order to avoid hitting the damn thing. Once I stopped my car a few feet away from the creature, I got a closer look. The creature stood completely still in the middle of the road and looked like an oversized stuffed animal with jet black fur, like a giant fluffy mound. What the hell is this? I thought to myself as I reached for my bag. I wanted to get my handgun because I didn't know if it was a bear or something else. However, as soon as my finger touched the buckle, I heard an audible whoosh sound. I looked up to see the animal had unfolded two massive wings, revealing a bird-like body with no head or neck. I was astonished as it stared at me with blood-red eyes which glowed like that of bicycle reflectors. That seems to be the common way that people are describing the eyes. I just sat there frozen in horror as the animal let out a screech that sounded like it came straight from hell. After coming back to my senses, I decided that I was getting the hell away from this thing. Now! In all caps. I slammed my car into reverse and floored it. As I drove away, I watched the monster flap its wings, and with one swift motion, it took off straight into the night and vanished. We moved to North Carolina about 6 months later, and I haven't returned to the TNT area since. So,
interesting.
I think it's just hard because with the sightings being so well known, I feel like it's so, not saying that this lady made up her story, obviously, but like all the descriptions of him are so similar that you're kind of like, you could easily just I don't know. I feel like with the Jersey Devil, like so many people see different things, whereas with Mothman, everyone had like, the same description, which I guess you could argue that it's just because they're all seeing the exact same thing. I don't know.
Yeah, true. Or
and then this other one is from someone. The username is Askelsunborka, something like that. And she says, or he says, my husband says he saw the creature when he was in high school. He didn't know about the Mothman and wasn't into anything paranormal. He told me this about 10 years ago when we first started dating. He was skateboarding down the street at night and spotted this thing standing between two buildings. I believe he said one of the two buildings was a church, and he stopped to get a better look. He said it must have been like 8 feet tall, had huge black wings, and glowing red eyes. It was just standing there staring, watching. He said he got major creeps and noped the F out of there. He is not the type to just make stuff up, and this has been the only paranormal thing he's talked about, so I don't have reason to doubt his story. So I'm not saying these are like the most, like, obviously these are stories from Reddit, and they're like hearsay. But I don't know. I think it's interesting that even today, you know, decades after the first sighting, people are still claiming to encounter the Mothman, and they all have like generally the same description about him.
The world may never know if there's a Mothman, but I just pulled up an article about the Chicago Mothman because I was curious.
Yeah.
There are like literally hundreds of sightings just on this one website from dating back to 1957 and going all the way to August of this year.
So do we think that it could have been the crane? Like, could the crane have gotten knocked off course also in Chicago? If you had to guess, if you had to use, make an educated guess, what do you think it is? Or do you think it's like mass hysteria and it's not real?
I think someone saw something and then it spiraled into mass hysteria. Whether that something was a crane or like a moth on their windshield and they were like, I don't know, saw it out of the corner of their eye.
Yeah. Well, sometimes objects in the mirror are larger than they appear. I think closer than they appear. Sorry. I honestly think that it probably was the crane, especially with the red feathers. Like, it just kind of makes sense. I think that maybe that couple, all 4 of them saw the crane, and it was dark, and they were like, "Ooh, that's so freaky," and then it's like spiraled out of control from there. Because I'm also like, and like I understand, like it's fun. Like, listen, it could be real. I don't know, but like the fact that he showed up before Chernobyl, like he was there at like I don't know. Listen, I don't want to say it's not true because if I were to see Mothman, I would like probably stay inside for a few months because I would want to avoid disaster, which seems to follow him.
I agree. I would get out of wherever I was if I saw Mothman.
Yeah. So like I'm saying right now that I don't think I believe, but things could change if I am driving and I see him on the highway or something. Like I would turn around, to be honest with you.
I think that's a smart idea. You don't want to mess with something you don't know about.
Yeah, I think my takeaway from this is that he is a character in Grand Theft Auto. I literally think that's so funny.
I wonder what else is hidden in Grand Theft Auto that we don't know about.
I don't know. I think it's I'm assuming you've never played it either.
No. No, I have not ever.
I wonder if there are other cryptids.
I wonder if the Jersey Devil is in.
I feel like Jersey Devil is 1,000 times better known than Mothman, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know, though. Is he?
I don't know. Ask the Patreons.
True.
Vote below. Who is more popular? Who would you rather encounter?
To sign us off, I'm going to sing you the YMCA Mothman. Mothman, there's no need to feel down. I said, Mothman, lift that man off the ground. I said, Mothman, 'cause you're in a new town and there's kids to be abducted. Mothman, there's a place you can go. I said, Mothman, when you make your eyes glow. I said, Mothman, You can stay there, and I'm sure you will find. Wait, I lost.
I think you lost the melody a little bit there.
When you make your eyes glow, you can wait. How does that go?
Dun, dun, dun,
It's fun to say at the YMCA. Okay. 'Cause you're a really big MOTH, a really, really big MOTH. You have big flappy wings, creepy glowing red eyes, and the element of surprise. Mothman. Wait, hold on. This is my favorite lyric. You go. You can swoop down on graves, you said, Mothman. You can land on some cars, I said, Mothman. You're a true cryptid star. I'm done. I can't do it anymore.